How's it going, guys? So, Ed Sheeran dropped a new single the other day, and I'm actually a really big Ed Sheeran fan. He's been a huge inspiration to me as a singer, songwriter, and guitarist. Actually, one of the very first songs I ever learned to play on guitar was one of his. But he just dropped a new single called Bad Habits just the other day. I've already heard it, I've already seen it a few times, so I'm just going to go over a few points, share some of my thoughts, and then we'll get out of here. All right, first off, I just want to say that Ed Sheeran has gone through quite a few looks. All right, let me explain what I mean. So right here, you got your shy boy sits in the back of the class, baby face Ed Sheeran right here. This is young, give me love, A-Team, Lego house, like fresh off the block. Ed Sheeran right here. All right, this is the Ed Sheeran that's gonna sing you love songs, and he's gonna text you even though you haven't texted him back all day, every day. Ed Sheeran right here. Then you got Beard A, maybe homeless Ed Sheeran right here. Like, super nice guy would give you the shirt off his back even though he's asking for change on the subway. Ed Sheeran. This is photographed thinking out loud. Then you got this guy. Look at him. This is, I almost don't trust this Ed Sheeran. He's got his glasses. It looks very similar to the beard Ed Sheeran, but he's just different enough to where it's like, this isn't the same guy I know. This is what I call the ghostwriter Ed Sheeran. This is the guy that's behind the scenes, and it's like, oh, you like Justin Bieber's Love Yourself? Oh, I wrote that. Guess you didn't know that. Still a great guy. But then you got this guy. Who is this guy? Who is this Ed Sheeran? We have a vampire Ed Sheeran now? Is this a different guy? Is this Ed? Is this what we're going to expect from Ed now? Of course, I'm just playing. But let's get back to the song. Conversations with a stranger I barely know. Swearing this will be the last, but it probably... I think this is so funny. Just vampire Ed swooping around downtown, people running away from him, and he's just like, you don't see a camera there. We're looking at the back of his head. There's no camera there. So he's just flying around. People are screaming, running away in fear. And he's just like singing into nothing, just looking dead on with his dead vampire eyes. Look at that. That's terrifying. If you know Ed Sheeran, you know he loves ketchup. So much so that if I remember correctly, he has a tattoo of a ketchup bottle on, like, I think his forearm, one of his forearms. So I think that's really funny. And in Chinese food, that's a sin. Then you got Ed Sheeran and his Vampire Squad rolling up, and they all have incredible fashion sense. Eye patches are very in right now. I think this part is hilarious. All the smiley face balloons. I love how he's just in all the smiley face balloons trying to like rip them up and everything. Like, get out of here, happiness. No, I'm trying to be sad boy right now. You're ruining my Gerard Way impression. Now I've watched this video and listened to this song several times, and for the love of me, I cannot figure out what that part is about. Where he stops the car, which is super dope. He just uses the force, stops the car, and then the person that flies out of the car is Beard A homeless man Ed Sheeran. And then he just deflates. So then you got the sun coming out, and you got Vampire Ed turning back into classic photograph, thinking out loud Ed Sheeran. He's rubbing his face. What I don't understand is how come he turns back into normal Ed. He's no longer a vampire. He's perfectly fine. Look at him. He's on a rooftop playing guitar. Like, he's perfectly good. But this poor guy right here just gets Thanos snapped out of existence. How come that guy gets Thanos snapped, but Ed Sheeran's perfectly fine on that rooftop? How come the sun's not affecting him the same? I need answers, darn it. So that's the end of the song. I hit the few points I wanted to hit. Overall, I've always been a huge Ed Sheeran fan. I will always be. I do kind of miss the old days when he like made his first album Minus, and he was just this like smaller artist. It was just him and his acoustic guitar and a looper pedal. And I don't know, I miss the old Give Me Love A-Team Ed Sheeran, you know? He doesn't do as much like acoustic-y stuff anymore. He's gone very like pop. Is there an acoustic version of this song?
Every time you come around, you know I can't say no.
Okay, that does it. This song is great. I love it. I take back every negative thing I ever said. Ed is still good boy Ed. Look at him. This is Babyface Ed. We went back 2 evolutions to Babyface Ed. We were at Vampire, and we completely skipped Shady Glasses and Beardo Ed Sheeran, and went right back to Babyface Ed. This is great. I love it. What a dad. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider liking and subscribing. See you in the next one.